It's the world's biggest endurance race. 580 drivers, 155 cars. The 24-hour race at the Nürburgring. More than 230,000 fans flocked to the legendary Eiffel circuit to see the 47th edition of the race. Imposing scenery, even for one of the most experienced and successful drivers in the history of the Nürburgring 24 hours.
It's crazy, but it's pure emotion, and you feel these people are passionate about the Nordschleife and about motorsport. I mean, it's amazing. There's so many people on the grid that you don't see the cars anymore, and still the grandstands are full, so that's amazing.
On the starting grid, pole position is claimed by the number 2 Mercedes AMG of Team Black Falcon, Mauro Engel at the head of the starting grid.
So much fun this top qualifying, but we also know it's a long race, and qualifying is only a very small part. So it's nice to be up front on pole positions, perfect. But now we look forward to the race, and hopefully we can keep this position and be celebrating P1 at the end of 24 hours.
There are 2 Mercedes on the front row. Number 48, the Man Filter team car, is going to be started by Lance David Arnold, shared with former DTM racer Maxi Götz.
This is something unique, on Earth, to have so much people around, so much fans around the Nordschleife, and all the procedure, the starting procedure, the qualifying procedure before. It's really unique in the world, and it's producing goosebumps all over the place. And I think for all of us, and it's a special moment to be here in the grid and starting from first row.
It's the first 24-hour race for the number 8 entry of Team Iron Force Ring Police. It will start 24th. Amongst the drivers is Jan-Erik Sluten.
It's a highlight of the year, and obviously a highlight for our team. And we are very proud, and we are happy that we are staying now on position 24. It's for us very good.
The 47th edition of what is now the ADAC Total 24 Hours of the Nürburgring set to get underway. The green flag waved and the cars released onto the formation lap. The front of the grid based on time set in top qualifying. Mercedes, Porsche, BMW all set to fight it out, with opposition coming from Ferrari amongst others. It's a very varied and eclectic grid, including Aston Martin. The Nürburgring is packed as the fans get ready. Mauro Engel starts on pole position with Lance David Arnold alongside him. Kevin Estra's Porsche shares row 2 with Pierre Caffer's Audi. Matt Campbell will go from 5th on the grid. As the cars make their way around the Nordschleife on the final warming up lap, the fans trackside are getting in the mood. The forecast is for hot and sunny weather. The fans are excited, so too are the teams. The Fricadelli Racing Team, another with the chance of a good result. The second and third batches of cars are released onto their formation lap. And as they go, the trackside is absolutely full of fans. Not just behind the fence, but trackside as well. It's another feature of the Nürburgring 24 hours that on the formation lap, some of the fans are allowed actually on the edge of the road. 25.378 kilometres long, the Nordschleife beckons for the 155 starters. Mauro Engel, the man on pole position. The fans are ready. Are they going to witness a Porsche, a Mercedes, an Audi or a BMW victory come the end of 24 hours? We're about to find out. At the end of the Döttinger Höhe, the cars start to make their way with warmth in the tyres into the 2x2 side-by-side formation, ready for the rolling start. For those in the pit garages, there's nothing they can do until either their stint or the first round of pit stops. Nico Bastian has to sit and wait. The race underway. Mauro Engel charges down towards turn 1, leading the pack. There are 3 groups at the start of the race. This is Group 1. And Engel it is who has the advantage as they turn into the Mercedes arena. But it's not long before there's drama. The BMW of Augusto Farfus is tapped into a spin. He's clipped by the GT4 Mercedes of the Black Falcon team as the leaders dive down through the Grand Prix circuit for the first time, and Farfus falls to the back of the pack. Engel it is, leading the way and trying to break clear. Lance David Arnold runs second, and Kevin Estre, crawling all over the back of him in the Porsche, lies third. The second group underway. It's a mix of touring cars as well as GT cars, with some of the quicker TCR entries joining this group, but the KTM is the car to beat, and it dives up on the inside to lead Group 2 down to the first corner. There's GT4 machinery as well as cars from the Cayman Trophy, all battling for position in this group. There are BMWs in profusion as well from the 240i Racing Cup. The KTM, however, is building its lead as Group 2 pours down through the Grand Prix circuit for the first time. And then it's the turn of Group 3, the slower batch of cars, but no less competitive. Their race gets underway. 24 hours of drama is ahead of them. On board the Engschler team Hyundai down towards the first corner. The i30N loses out to the Porsches, but the key task for the Hyundai is to be there at the finish. Group 3 safely through the first couple of corners and into battle. Out on the Nordschleife, Maro Engel is building a gap on the opening lap of the race. Lance David Arnold is second, Kevin Estre lies third. Matt Campbell is fourth for Fricadelli. This the view from Lance David Arnold's Mercedes. The HTP Motorsport run car losing touch with the leader, but keeping everybody else at bay. Onto the Döttinger Höhe for the first time. Arnold under attack from Estre. The Porsche in the draft. Estre gets a tow and then lines up to make the move for second place. Side by side, the Porsche blasts past. The Manthey racing car is in P2. Maxi Goetz looks on. His car has lost a place. Engel, meantime, pulling clear. Estre second. The second Manthey racing car of last year's winning combination of drivers runs fifth, as in replay you see Estre's brave move to bag second place. Worse was to come for Lance David Arnold. On lap 2, he gets stuck in traffic at the carousel. There's nowhere for him to go. Two Porsches pounce, through they go. The HTP Motorsport squad has to watch and work out that with 24 hours of racing, they'll be able to get the places back, surely. It's looking good for Porsche, though. A 1-2-3 in replay. This is what happens to Lance David Arnold. He gets stuck behind the Opel Astra. There's nowhere to go, and the two Porsches dart round the outside. Big frustration for Lance David Arnold as Patrick Pilet storms past him, chased by Matt Campbell. At the end of lap 2, down through the Döttinger Höhe, there's plenty of traffic now for the leaders to cope with. And those back markers are on their first lap. Engel leads, Estre runs second, and then third, Patrick Pilet. The Mercedes still trying to work their way through the order, diving past the traffic. Jelmer Burman ahead of Lance David Arnold now. Another place lost for the Mann-Filter Mercedes. In number 1, last year's winner, Patrick Pilet, closing on Kevin Estre and taking Matt Campbell with him in the Fricadelli Porsche. Soon, it's game on for the race lead. Engel under attack. Estra crawling all over the back of the Mercedes, but not quite able to make the move stick here. Estra gets back into the slipstream and tries once more. Brave stuff between the two of them, and the fans are enjoying themselves, whether they're focusing on the racing or not. The barbecues are being lit in anticipation of the evening. The Nürburgring, countless horsepower, bolts, parties, drifting. It's only for true men. Really? Hello, I'm Nicole. I'm the girls-only team manager. Only women work and drive here. We've never seen it before. Even if it isn't strange to see women as drivers and team managers at the Nürburgring anymore, a team where only women take the 20 positions within the team. That's unprecedented in the history of the 24-hour race. It's just brilliant to have only the girls. It's extraordinary. You see women in motorsport here and there, some of them help in other teams. But to have a group of women who stand their ground, who have the know-how, who are up for it, that's special indeed. But it's great. The goal, show women you can do it too. Girls only drive in the SP3T class of the 24-hour race with a Golf GTI TCR. However, the car has to be moved to the pit box early with a defect after just 45 minutes of racing. But the girls remain optimistic.
Not sure what happened. We just are repairing the car now, and let's see if we can go out again.
Girls only have to work on the car now, but they've achieved one thing despite bad luck early in the race. They've drawn attention to the women who stand their ground at the 24-hour race amongst all the men. And that, as such, is already a small victory. Back to the race, the first round of pit stops. It's been a dramatic first hour. Maro Engel heading down the pit road. Kevin Est's Porsche comes in as well. The Manthey Racing team is ready. The number one Porsche, though, stopped earlier and therefore had to serve a shorter pit stop. It means that Fred Makowiecki takes over the race lead. Lawrence Vanthoor takes over 9-11, rejoining in third place. As ever, it's a battle on track between the drivers and in the pit lane between the crews. So number one Porsche takes over the lead. Fred Makowiecki behind the wheel and now trying to build a gap over the Mercedes. Engel double stinting, and third is Vanthoor. The pendulum swings in favour of Porsche. Number one has the advantage, and Makowiecki tries to build that gap. Engel working his way through the traffic, charging along in second place, eager to try to bring down the gap to the race leaders.
Not easy. The first stints in the race, the traffic is always a bit tough. Everybody's still doing their first stints. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and somehow I had the feeling that every lap I was running into them in the bad places. But it's important those moments to try and keep cool. It's first stint, but it seems like the Mercedes and us are making a bit of a gap. But obviously we don't want them to go too far away, so let's see.
Soon there's drama for the race-leading car. The number one Porsche has a puncture. Makowiecki has a long, slow lap round to the pit lane. And from first, the car falls to 35th position. Straight away, the car is out of sync with everybody else. New tyres, another tank of fuel and a driver change, but this car now has a lot of ground to make up. Going strongly is number 705. The SCG of Scuderia Cameron Glickenhaus is already up into 3rd place. Every season the car races here, it shows greater speed and also better reliability.
Yeah, we started P19, so we've been fighting away all the way up the ladder here, so it's been a really good start. I haven't been in the car yet. They said the car feels pretty good, so it's going to be exciting to see now. My first stint is in 13 minutes, so I'm looking forward to it.
Drama though for Alexander Prinz. His Ferrari catches fire at the start of the Grand Prix circuit. It takes him until the end to realise it's ablaze and park the car, by which stage it's severely damaged. The marshals are on hand with the fire extinguishers. In replay, you can see the extent of the blaze. Prinz carried on until the message got through that the car was well ablaze. Philipp Eng in the BMW, busy battling against the Audi of René Rast. BMW is not having a happy start to the event, and another place is lost as Rast breezes on by. The Rover Racing team looks on from the pit box. It's been a difficult start to the race. Already one car is out, and then, to add to John Edwards' woes, Mikkel Jensen parks number 98. Both cars are done in the first 3.5 hours. It's a hugely disappointing result so early in the race. More BMW drama soon after. Timo Scheider is off the road down at Brünchen. He's collided with the Hyundai of Andy Gulden. Schneider is okay, the car is broken, Gulden is okay, the Hyundai badly damaged as well, both out of the race. In replay, the two touch coming into Brünchen, both bounce off the barrier, and Scheider lucky not to get collected by the traffic behind. He's not the only one with damage. The fans' favourite Opel Manta is in strife as well. Olaf Beckmann has been bounced between lots of other cars. There's damage on the left and on the right-hand side of the Manta. This is how it all happened. Broken suspension, damaged bodywork coming out of turn 1. Mike Stursberg, GT4 Mercedes, involved as well. The lead battle, Mercedes versus Porsche. Kevin Est making another brave pass on the Mercedes, this time driven by Dirk Müller, who squeezes him towards the grass in the traffic. But Kevin Est keeps on coming, and he goes through to take back the race lead. It's another brave pass by Est. This is how he did it. 2 wheels on the grass on the Döttinger Höhe. That is commitment. On board with Lucas Lohr in the number 8 Iron Force by Ring Police Porsche. The sun is setting as the teams battle on into the dusk. As the teams battle on into the darkness, there are more pit stops, more driver changes, and perhaps inevitably more incidents as well. But up front, Porsche still leads the way in this 47th running of the Nürburgring 24 hours. Then more drama on the Döttinger Höhe. Roberto Falcon's Porsche Cayman is destroyed, and he's not the only one involved in a huge incident. Unsighted, he has ploughed into the back of Josh Burden's Nissan, approaching a code 60 slow zone. In replay, you see others slow, but Falcon, unsighted, doesn't. He thunders into the back of the Nissan, rolls, hits the barrier, and bounces across the circuit. There's another impact with the guardrail on the other side, and with bodywork all over the road, it's a lengthy clear-up. Drivers from 30 different countries participate in the 24-hour race. Wayne Moore is one of the drivers with the longest trip. The New Zealander is out of luck on track, however, but he celebrates his 25th 24-hour race.
30 hours flying to race 24 hours, maybe not that this year, to fly back home 30 hours. But there's a real magnetism with this place. Amazing weather this weekend. Look at the crowd, and there's a wonderful camaraderie. So even stopping, as I've been towed to Flunskart twice today, a real camaraderie with the crowd. You know, everybody's happy, everyone's very passionate. I enjoy that, and it's worth coming here for it.
Jim Bridie had a long trip as well. The American driver comes from Arizona and aged 75. He's the oldest driver to take the wheel in this year's race.
I've been racing for 55 years. I did my first 24-hour race enduro as the factory Peugeot driver in the US back in 1981. Old age and treachery will always beat youth and exuberance.
And I like to say that the old dog can still hunt.
There's nowhere quite like the Nürburgring 24 hours. The entry is like no other race. The atmosphere is like nowhere else. And the teams battle through the darkness, fighting for position on track, avoiding the slow zones, but most of all, trying to get to the finish of the toughest motor race of all. There's a party atmosphere. There's also the occasional moment to grab some sleep. The race really gets going when night sets in at the Nordschleife. The event takes on a whole different feeling. Depending on how dark it really is, it can be extremely tough to see things. You need good light and have to be really familiar with the track. 7 hours in the dark, no lighting at the Nordschleife, racing at the limit.
It's
extremely hard on the eyes. You have to be really fit. You have to know it. I know many pro drivers who dither in front of you. They don't know where they actually are when they have their first night stint. They're completely shocked and exhausted afterwards. You need some time to know exactly how it's done. It's extremely hard when the weather conditions are extreme at night as well, and that happens often in the Eifel region. It's particularly exhausting when it starts raining. I remember exactly how it was when I was here and drove at night for the first time. It started pouring in the middle of the night, aquaplaning everywhere. I didn't see anything. That's when you think, what in blazes am I going to do now? The headlights glare. They produce a big cone of light when overtaking and completely drown out your rear view. Driving by instinct. Your eyes don't provide you with orientation anymore.
Das ist der Moment, wo du am liebsten raus möchtest aus dem Auto. Du weißt genau,
That's when you'd really like to leave the car. You know exactly where you are, you're alone, you're in a dark forest, unlike in any other 24-hour race. We're in the middle of the Eifel after all, and it's not as if there are streetlights here. And if the drivers behind you have open headlights, full beam, or if you're at the head of a group of 3, 4, 5 cars, the mirrors reflect all of it into your eyes. And then it can start raining. And when you head back into the pit box, I think you've really earned some praise from your team principal then.
Ich glaube, dann hat man sich ein Lob vom Teamchef verdient.
But the night also has some friends, particularly in warm summer conditions.
The best
is to drive into the Brünchen section at night. It's completely dark. The only light at the track comes from the campsites, and you go there and you can smell the sausages and the chips. It's unique. I think that characterizes the race perfectly.
Und ich glaube, allein das beschreibt den Charakter von dem Rennen perfekt.
The smell of sausages, the campers around the track, partying through the night. The atmosphere in the dark Eifel is unmatched. No other race has fans like this, and they go full throttle around the circuit. Sleep is just overrated. The awake masses at the campsites carry the drivers through the night. A challenge, but a unique one. Back on track at night, number 2 Mercedes of Adam Christodoulou is in strife. The car has been going well, but 3 laps into his first stint behind the wheel, The British driver, a former winner of the event, collides with the Toyota Supra number 90, and chassis damage puts him out of the race. The Toyota carries on, albeit delayed, but Adam Christodoulou has to limp round to the pit lane. He knows the car doesn't feel right anymore, and this was why. A gap on the inside, the Mercedes commits to it, and then the Toyota tried to turn across and take the line for the first part of the Mercedes arena. Adam Christodoulou is soon back in the pit lane, and he's not happy. The car goes to the pit box. The damage is assessed. The number 1 Porsche up into 12th place, also serving another pit stop. Fred Makovici, along with his teammates, has been working wonders through the darkness. However, that car too has been in the wars during the night. Eventually the car retires with damage after tripping over a back marker. The SCG also was running well earlier on, but that too got into the mix with the traffic, had damage and had to pit for repairs. The car dropped down the order. Maxi Goetz looks on behind in the Mercedes. The SCG in the pit lane, and lots of time lost as the car is repaired. The main drama is to a light cluster. That has to be rectified. You can't race at night with faulty lights. Thomas Mutsch goes to the pit box. The team starts to work. There's more drama out on track. The surviving Valkenhorst BMW number 100 of Jürgen Schmidt-Stade goes off the road. There's damage to the BMW M6. Another car off the road further along the circuit. Was liquid put down which caught him out, or was it a driver error? Either way, the car suffers damage and a big delay. It's just not BMW's race. The marshals set to work, pushing the car out of harm's way and try to get it recovered back to the team. Renger van der Zande in the pit box. Another pit stop is cycled through, all the teams working hard, trying to do the stops efficiently, swiftly, and to the regulation pit stop time. Van der Zande sharing with Tristan Vautier, Jan Seifert and Kenneth Heyer. The number 16 Mercedes is battling with the 29 Land Motorsport Audi. René Rast currently behind the wheel. They've had a great duel on track. The Mercedes just being able to fend off the Audi. Up the curb goes Rast as he tries to find a way through. Back on track comes the Opel Manta. Amazing, despite the damage, the car is going to battle back onto the circuit after many hours of repair work. It's the never say die attitude to the Nürburgring 24 hours. After 86 laps, the number 911 Porsche Earl Bamber at the wheel leads the similar car of Fricadelli of Matt Campbell, with Maxi Goetz third and Fred Vervisch now fourth for the Phoenix Motorsport Audi team. The girls' only team's 89 Golf Mark 7 GTI returns to the track after 13 hours of repair work. A huge cheer goes up. The car is back in the race. Jasmin Preisig is behind the wheel as the team celebrates all that hard work.
The mechanics worked the whole night to change the engine, so that's super, super cool that we can go out on track again. If you were standing for 13 hours, then the result is not so important anymore. It's just, that we are part of the 24-hour race, so I'm just happy now.
An all-Audi battle for fourth place between number 29 Christopher Haase and Frank Stippler, number 4, who oh so nearly gets caught out by the traffic. It's the Land Motorsport car ahead of the Phoenix Motorsport entry. Stippler tries again at the end of Döttinger Höhe. The two cars almost rubbing paint. Stippler just gets ahead. And this is on an in-lap for the pit stop. But Stippler crucially gains track position. The two rival teams both working their way up the leaderboard. Audi hasn't looked that competitive in the race so far, but come Sunday lunchtime, the cars are back in the hunt. That was how Stippler saw the traffic and darted back into the draft. After a pit stop, René Rast takes over number 29, Dries Vanthoor takes over number 4, and the battle continues. On board with Rast, he swoops round the outside, going through the carousel and picks up the place. Now it's Vanthoor on the attack. Can he find a way through? On the Grand Prix section of the circuit, he's in the wheel tracks of Rast and makes his move on the outside, heading down towards turn 1. But with back markers around him, he outbrakes himself. He's off the road, heading for the gravel. He just avoids it and he's able to regroup and carry on, albeit with time lost. In replay, Vanthoor dives to the outside line, finds a slower car in his way, heads off the circuit and then can't slow down. It was a good recovery. It could have been a whole lot worse. Then more drama. Maxi Goetz loses control of his Mercedes-AMG in the Höhe section and hits the barrier. The Mercedes-AMG team man filter entry is out of the race. Goetz is distraught. So too is the team looking on in the pit garage. The race is run, and the car had been going so strongly. In replay, the car just seems to graze the curb and be fired into the barrier, although earlier, co-driver Raffaele Marciello did hit a slower car. Maybe that did some damage that's now failed.
That's the green hell, I have to say, you know. The green hell have bitten us. In the end, you know, I was just passenger in this case. Raffaele had a contact, we saw this before in Dunlop corner on the Grand Prix circuit. He had contact on the front left a little bit, and this was just in the end some laps after a consequence, damage of this contact, and I turned into the Hohe 8. It's a very quick part of the track. It's fourth gear, car went straight, and so I could do nothing, but in the end we end up in the barriers, which was not our goal.
The car is towed away, but the race is run. Disappointment for some teams means, of course, a place gained for others. Now the battle is on for fourth place between Gabriele Piana in the Mercedes and René Rast. Rast makes his move on the Döttinger Höhe, but Piana is very defensive, forcing the Audi onto the grass, and Rast skillfully just avoids the barrier. There's been contact, though, with the back of the Mercedes. Piana now showing damage, and team principal Wolfgang Land is unimpressed with the Team Black Falcon driver's antics. He heads up the pit lane to offer his point of view. Piana comes into the pit lane as the teams go to work and have a look at the state of the tyres.
Yeah, Michael, I agree. It's a really stupid move. It's really stupid. I agree 100%. I'm so sorry. I don't control the driver, and that was really stupid. I'm really sorry. No, okay. Yeah.
Wolfgang Land talks to Black Falcon boss Jean-Paul Breslin, who does not condone his driver's actions. And this, again, is how close Rast came to disaster. Piana was fined for his part in this incident. Rast continued on his way. It was a lucky escape for both at the fastest part of the circuit. More drama comes now for Porsche Fricadelli's car this time. Matt Campbell has a puncture. He was running in fourth place and he has to head back into the pit lane, dropping down the order as he does so. A new tyre would be fitted, a new tank of fuel, and Mathieu Jaminet would take the car over from Matt Campbell. It's another example of how, out of nowhere, problems can suddenly hit you. The car had been running faultlessly, working its way up the order, running to a steady pace, and then suddenly a puncture, some damage, and a big delay. Just over 3 hours remaining. It's a bitter blow for everybody involved. Sven Müller feels they could have even won the race.
I think we could win this race, and had a tire puncture on the rear right and went to the pits, did driver change, and then I think due to this tire puncture we damaged the gearbox or the diff, so we don't know what exactly happened, but we could not drive anymore, so yeah, it's really hard to accept it.
And then more problems for the Fricadelli car. Mathieu Jaminet is stranded trackside, the car pushed away, he's out of the race. And then more drama comes, a 5-minute and 32-second time penalty for the leading Porsche for not slowing down sufficiently at the 120 km/h approach to a code 60 slow zone. The Grello Porsche is going to lose its lead and possibly lose the race. The car was clocked at 172 km/h in that 120 zone. And this shows what happened. Laurens Vanthoor was the man behind the wheel, accelerating towards the slow zone, not only not slowing down, but also overtaking cars. There's a warning flag that says you're approaching the slow zone. There's an incident vehicle, there's another car which he overtakes, and the code 60 zone not respected by the driver.
You could judge it as bad luck, but in the end I'm driving the car and I'm responsible to not make those mistakes, so I'm quite angry at myself for it to happen, and especially sad for all the guys here around that, yeah, it was a potential very good victory which got lost.
Now there's drama for the BMW of Rudy Adams. The bonnet has come open out on the circuit and he cannot see a thing. Adams veers his way towards the end of the lap. He's up the curb, he's on the grass as he tries to second guess where he might be. He's only now got the approach to the pit lane to go, but the trouble is he can't see the road. There's a barrier somewhere. He needs to bear right, but when you can't see where you're going, it all becomes very tricky. At least that closed the bonnet. Trouble is now the front of the car has hooked itself over the guardrail. He's stuck. Nico Bastian, having taken over number 6 Mercedes from Gabriele Piana, crashes out of the race. The car was in 4th place. It's coming out of Brunchen. The car suddenly swaps ends and Bastian bounces off the barriers and into retirement.
I had suddenly like a snap oversteer, I lost the rear, and it was quite weird, but we have to see for sure first in data and the videos what happened really. But it's unfortunate for the team because we were fighting very hard.
More problems come. This time it's in the Audi camp. Number 29, the Land Motorsport car of Kelvin van der Linde from 3rd has a puncture and huge damage not only to the rubber but to the bodywork as he limps round to the pit lane. The trouble is, van der Linde's pace is such that not only is the car damaged, but he doesn't make it back to the pits. That means the car is stranded trackside. With just over 2 hours to go, the car is out of the race. Van der Linde, desperately disappointed. Into the pit lane to serve the time penalty comes number 911. Michael Christensen, the man behind the wheel, as he sits and waits. There's huge disappointment at Manthey Racing. The car would lose the lead to the number 4 Audi of Phoenix Motorsport. The Audi through into the lead of the race. Now Manthey able to combine the time penalty with a pit stop, so some of the lost time it would get back when the Audi pitted. But Ernst Moser of Phoenix knows they have a real chance now to win the race. Frederik Vervies is behind the wheel of the Audi trying to build the gap. Michael Christensen is released down to the team. It's Phoenix Racing versus Manthey Racing. Michael Christensen is replaced by Lawrence Vanthoor. The attitude seems to be, you got us into this, you get us out. Vanthoor will have to really charge. Up into third place now, the number 3 Mercedes of Team Black Falcon. Thomas Jaeger is behind the wheel of it. This now the highest placed Mercedes after a race that has unravelled for the 3-pointed stars. Number 911 blasts back into the race. With just over 2 hours remaining, the pressure is on. Number 911 now to deliver. This stint of Vanthoor's has got to be like a qualifying session, and he always excels in qualifying around the Nordschleife. What can he do about the gap to the race leading car? Up into 4th place now is this Audi of the Audi Sport Team Car Collection. It started way down the order, but it's clawed its way up the order, keeping out of trouble, running at a good pace. René Rast, Marcel Fassler, Christopher Haase and Markus Winkelhock, the drivers, making it a very good combination of pilots behind the wheel. The car is looking good for a top 6 finish at least.
Yeah, P4 is not bad. I think coming from P29 in qualifying, I think P4 currently is not bad, but for sure our target must be to be on the podium. But I think it's going to be difficult. The gap between P3 and P4 is a little bit too big. But as we saw in the last couple of hours, there can happen many things. And so let's hope for a little miracle, and then we will see.
Here's one miracle. The number 74 BMW is back out into the race. Arne Hofmeister is now behind the wheel of this tank tape special. The multicoloured tape, at least, is keeping the bonnet closed, but the car doesn't look pretty anymore. In slow motion, this, remember, is where the damage came from. The car thumping the pit wall with that open bonnet. That incident is going to haunt Rudy Adams. The best BMW at this point is in 7th place. It's the Falcon Motorsport car. Alexandre Imperatori is behind the wheel. It really has been a disappointing race for BMW, but the Falcon car at least is still circulating in the top 10 and could yet gain more places before the end. There's less than half an hour remaining, so now keeping out of trouble is essential. The number 122 Opel Manta is back into the race. To more applause, the car, twice damaged, ventures back out onto the circuit and is greeted with an excellent reception from the fans. It doesn't matter where you finish in the Nürburgring 24 hours, you just want to finish. Not only the fans applaud the car, but also the rival teams on the pit wall. They know how tough it is in this race. On to the final lap goes the leading car. Dries Vanthoor is behind the wheel of the number 4 Audi. He's being chased by Kevin Est, but the gap is not coming down. There are nervous faces with just one more lap to go. That lap, though, is 25 kilometres long, don't forget. Knowing he can't catch the race leader, Est relaxes his pace on the last lap as Olaf Manthey watches on from the pit garage. The clock about to hit 0. It's the end of the 47th Nürburgring 24 hours, and the Porsche is set for second place. Kevin Est has thrown everything at his final stint, but he was too far back from the Audi. This year, it's going to be second place for Porsche, but it's going to be a win for Phoenix and the Audi. Over the line for second place, Kevin Est, Laurens Vanthoor, Earl Bamber and Michael Christensen. The rest of the cars come pouring over the line. There are flags, there's applause, there's confetti. For third place, the Mercedes comes home. The car of Maxi Buch, Hubert Haupt, Thomas Jäger and Luca Stolz upholds Mercedes' honour. But all eyes are on Dries Vanthoor, who is set to claim the biggest win of his career. The Phoenix Audi has been driven superbly. It has kept out of trouble. It's run at a steady pace and been able to benefit from the dramas of others. For Audi Sport Team Phoenix, up towards the checkered flag comes Dries Vanthoor to take honours with Frederik Vervisch, Frank Stippler and Pierre Caffer. A great final stint by Dries Vanthoor, benefiting from the dramas of his elder brother. Audi Sport Team Phoenix wins at the Nürburgring. Pierre Caffer, Frank Stippler, Frederik Vervisch and Dries Vanthoor take the race win. There's delight for all, especially Fred Vervisch.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I cannot really describe it. I'm so happy for the team, for Audi. Dries did great to bring it home. Yeah, I think I will only realize it later, but it means really a lot. It's unbelievable.
The team celebrates, and of course, the team principal, Ernst Moser, is delighted. It's a race his team has won many times before, but each victory is even sweeter. This particularly, as the Audi never really seemed to have the pace of the Porsches or the Mercedes.
Great. Unbelievable how the race is started, how difficult the race was, and in the end you are the winner. It's unbelievable. The five time for us and 3 times now with Audi. I'm really happy.
There's disappointment at Porsche. The race got away, really. So near and yet so far. Laurens Vanthoor congratulates brother Dries on the race win. And Dries Vanthoor was chased home by Kevin Est, who pulled off some of the most stunning moves of the race early on, but had to settle for second place.
It's a podium on one of the biggest race in the world, so you should be happy, but when you have the car and the team and everything to win it, and you get a 5-minute 30 penalty 2 hours before the end, then for sure you're not happy. So everything okay, but we could do better.
At the end of, as ever, a drama-filled race. A win for Audi Sport Team Phoenix of Pierre Caffer, Frank Stippler, Fred Vervisch and Dries Vanthoor. From Manthey Racing's Porsche of Earl Bamber, Michael Christensen, Kevin Est and Laurens Vanthoor. With third to Mercedes AMG Team Black Falcon, Maxi Buch, Hubert Haupt, Thomas Jäger and Luca Stolz, the drivers. Markus Winkelhock, Christopher Hauser, Marcel Fassler and René Rast taking fourth ahead of Otto Klaus, Lars Kern, Dennis Olsen and Mathieu Cairoli, with Peter Dumbreck sixth, joined by Steph Dusseldorp, Alexandre Imperatori and Jens Klingmann in the best of the BMWs. Rainer Kaienberg hands over the trophies to the race winners here at the Nürburgring at the end of another all-action race. For some, there's delight. For many, there's disappointment. But for everybody that got to the end, there's a sense of achievement. A 5th win for Phoenix, a 3rd for Phoenix with Audi. But Pierre Caffer, Frederik Vervisch and Dries Vanthoor all winning for the first time. It's a 2nd victory in the event for Frank Stippler. It means that there are some overjoyed drivers on the top step of the Nürburgring podium. For so long, the race looked as though it was going Porsche's way, but one slow zone was all it took to turn the result upside down. That penalty, accrued by Laurens Vanthoor, that resulted in a 5-minute and 32-second penalty, changed the face of the race. It gave the win to Audi, to Pierre Caffer, Frank Stippler, Frederik Verbies and Dries Vanthoor. What a race we've had.